Hello and welcome to the McCord List today. I'm Rachel McCord, your talk show bestie. I'm so happy you're here. Whether you've been here before or this is your first time, our show is all about helping you live life and live it to the full. We are here to help you hear inspiring stories that help you transform your life. We talk about faith, family, entrepreneurship, fitness, and pretty much everything in between. I love what I do. I love coming every single day and talking to you about the incredible opportunity that is in front of you. So many times in this life, we are so busy looking down at the mess, looking back at the past, or worrying about the future that we forget how special it is just to be in the present. It is the gift. It is the opportunity to transform everything because it all starts in your mind. And in this very moment, as you watch the show, you can decide today is the day that I'm going to think differently, because all of our thoughts come from our belief system. So if you believe, oh, this is just another, oh, I can't, oh, this is too hard, oh, that's for them, then you won't hold on and learn the message. That is what today's episode is all about. This is a story today of hope, of transformation, of believing that you can do it. And I'm telling you, as a girl who grew up in trailer parks, went through trauma, has faced so many obstacles, including open heart surgery in my early 30s, I'm telling you, you can do it. You can do hard stuff, and you can rise up like a phoenix out of the ashes, better than you were before. One of my favorite verses is, you will mount up on wings like eagles. You will run and you will not grow weary. You will walk and you will not faint. And that is the call I put on your heart today. That is what I'm inviting you to believe today, because it's so much easier to look at all of the news, social media, scrolling, and all the things and get somewhere lost along the way that we forget that our lives are precious. Our gifts are so precious. And the only person who's holding you back from doing what you want to do is genuinely you. I'm saying this as a girl who grew up in Georgia, moved to Hollywood, and saw all of my friends and peers waiting to get booked on that job, waiting to get that role that they dreamed of, waiting for someone to stamp a sponsorship on their project or a belief system or put it on a network before they just did it. And I'm telling you, I am not that girl. I am the girl who will stay up well into the night, writing out plans, working on decks, designing websites, working on my social media, because I know that what I have to say matters to help other people. This isn't about Rachel and the McCord List today. This is about you. This is about you finding within you that spark and that passion, and you hearing one thing today that could change your life and transform how you live your life. Because if you let that spark really take hold in your heart, you can actually run and you can build that into a bonfire. And don't get me wrong, it is hard. I am living proof. It is so hard. You'll want to give up. You're going to have fear. You're going to get rejected. People are going to say no. People are going to tell you you shouldn't and you can't, and it's not right, and it's not you, it's someone else. All this, you're going to hear all of that. But I'm telling you that you can actually change your life if you believe you can. Because whatever you believe about yourself, you're right. If you believe that you can do it, you're exactly right. If you believe there's someone better than you, you're exactly right. And the world would tell us there are people better, but you don't need to be the best. You don't need to have the first original idea. There is nothing new under the sun. It's not your job to be the first and all these different things, all this pressure we put on ourselves. It's your job to walk out the calling that is inside your heart and the reason that you were created. Because you're not just some random opportunity, oh my gosh, against all odds you were born. It's actually 1 in 400 trillion chance that you were born. 1 in 400 trillion chance that you exist right now. If your parents took a little longer at the coffee shop, they stopped at a red light, they didn't stop at that red light. There's a million things that could have happened that would keep you from existing if you look at science and you look at the statistics. But I'm saying that there is a reason you're the only person with those fingerprints. You're the only person with that beating heart and that mind and this mouth and these hands and these feet. And it's your invitation today to use all that you have to create something beautiful for yourself, for your family. But hear me when I say this. You will never know why an invention exists without going back to the creator of it. If you handed me a massive, beautiful, crazy, wild invention today, I'd be like, wow, you seem really smart. I have no idea what this is or what it's here for. So if you're out there right now and you're wondering, what am I here for? As Rick Warren says, what on earth am I here for? If you're wondering that, you need to know, go to your source. Go to the source. You are the resource that has been given life by your source. And you have a purpose and you have a call. And today's conversation with these amazing guests, you're going to hear this message of hope, these messages that against all odds, against the ups and downs of life, what happened for them. Our first guest, Juan Prince, a sweetheart who used to be my assistant. I love him so much. He worked with me at the beginning of the McCord list when things were wild and chaotic. There were no systems because every day was different and confusing, and I hadn't built a business model to scale yet. And he was with me along the ride. And you're going to hear from him as he talks about facing depression and anxiety. I cannot wait to hear what he shares with you because I know his story and I know what he's overcome. I know that he has sat in rooms that he didn't feel worthy of, and he's pushed through, and he's moved from the heart, and he's given all that he has. And I think that it's so beautiful when you hear something like that and you see that he's built his own PR agency and he's doing what he loves, and he's birthed all this out of a passion for entertainment. He had no idea when he started what he was going to do. He went into film school because he was struggling with depression and anxiety, and he had nothing going on, and he didn't know what to do. He just wanted to do something because his parents were like, you need to do something. You're not doing well. And here he is sitting in front of us today on this show, and he's going to talk about what this journey looks like. And I cannot wait to hear it because I know it's a good message for you. We also have an amazing guest who's coming right after, Greg Baldwin. He's a stand-up comedian. But what I think is super cool about him is that his content is all about sobriety. He's been sober now, and what he does with his journey, having faced the challenges of dealing with that, he now goes into prisons and talks to these inmates about how to live a life of sobriety and how you can change your life if you start leaning into community. He's a big believer in how important it is, not just to heal yourself, but to reach your hand back and help someone else grow, help someone else get to the place where they are, because that is so precious. Isn't that just the beautiful gift of this life, that we get to do it in that way? That we don't have to look at our lives and think this is all there is, because there's always someone struggling. There's always someone nearby who needs you. If you've got $10, maybe take $5 and buy someone a meal. The truth is that this life is precious and these opportunities are precious. But you can live a life of purpose that's bigger. Great is your reward in heaven when you stop thinking solely about yourself and about what you can do in the world, how you can impact the world, how you can make a difference. And I believe that that is what this conversation today is going to be all about. Kristen Bennett will be our third guest on this show, and she's amazing. She's the director of Go Campaign, which is all about helping the community. They are providing resources and help to children all around the world in over 40 countries, helping them get the essential needs that they have. And it's all because of a belief that, hey, with this organization, if you invest $35, you can change someone's life. So I challenge you with this today, because if you're struggling with something, it's way too tempting to focus only on the struggle, to focus only on yourself, to think only about how this impacts me, how it makes me feel. But if you could choose in this moment to live differently, going back to what we said at the beginning of the show, to hear these words and to see a different belief system, a different opportunity, an invitation for transformation, that is what is the gift. That is where the change comes. And I feel like it's what wakes me up every single morning. Because when life's, which it will, you're going to want to give up. You're going to want to reevaluate everything you're doing and wonder if it makes sense, if it's what you were really supposed to do. But guess what? Those questions are beautiful, because if you can sit with them, if you can sit with that difficulty and you can journal, you can write out the thoughts on your heart, what you might realize is the biggest places of pain could be your purpose, because what you learn in these difficult seasons could birth within you an opportunity to share that with the world, to take that and to give that back with the hope, knowing that this is what the world needs. We're all struggling, you guys. Life has its ups and downs. In fact, Greg, our second guest, I'm going to ask him specifically about what it's like as a stand-up comedian. He just opened for Jay Leno. I want to hear about his story and how he deals with the ups and downs of the entertainment industry. We're all feeling it, but you have a platform. Maybe your platform is your significant other, it's your children, it's the people who work alongside you. Maybe it's a TV show, maybe social media. But whatever it is, use it. Be a light in this world, because where light is, darkness cannot be. Okay, don't go anywhere, you guys. I'm Rachel McCord on the McCord List today. We'll be right back with Juan. Hello and welcome back to the McCord List today. I'm Rachel McCord and I'm so happy you're here to sit with me as your talk show bestie with one of my besties, Juan Prince. Hello there.
Hi, how are you?
Oh my goodness, what a wild, long road we've had together.
It's like a full circle moment.
So full circle.
Yeah.
I just sent a picture of us to Ricky, hubby, and he's like, "Aw."
I feel like he's always like, you too, but I feel like he's always rooted for me, like since the very beginning when I just felt so lost in like that. Because entertainment was new to me when I first met you, but I feel like you really took me under your wing and you really taught me everything. So I have everything to thank to you, honestly.
Oh, that's really sweet. I did not just bring you on the show to brag about me.
No,
you
but
have
honestly,
built quite a huge enterprise for yourself now. It's incredible seeing what you've done. So you've built J Prince PR. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
So when I was acting like a few years ago, a lot of my friends and peers would just be like, I'm paying $7,000, $25,000 for PR and they're not getting me anything. And so that's really what inspired me to start my company, because I was like, I have all these connections to the press, to the media, to celebrity culture. And I said, I really want to be consistent with my clients and do it more budget friendly. And we use targeted strategies to really elevate their careers to the next level. We use social media, we do interviews, press release articles, and it's all my baby. And I have a few people working for me.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy, like seeing you in this space, because
you told me a long time ago. It was at the Nylon event, and sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
but you
I
were
love
telling
it.
me, and you're like, Juan, you can be a publicist. And at the time you said that, I was like, a publicist? What's a publicist? I didn't know what that was. And then, funny enough, a lot of people told me since you did. And then finally, I opened my company, and then it's just been like so organic and have helped so many artists get to the next level, entrepreneurs as well. And so, yeah.
I think one of the things that you really have that's so powerful, Juan, is that you have this persistence and you push past obstacles. You've had a lot of ups and downs in your life, and you have this powerful grit that I think is so crucial. And it just, I don't know, it's so special, like seeing how you've taken something that we did together. Obviously, you were around when I was first starting the McCord List, and hacking all those red carpets.
That was fun.
Getting on the list, squeezing past, just push to the front. Like I feel like.
Remember that guy touched you? I was like, don't touch her.
Yes, I remember. You were amazing. You're like part bodyguard, part publicist. But I remember just having you there with me was so helpful. And it was wild because I feel like I was in a season of life where I was allowing so much of the pressure of entertainment and trying to make the best of the opportunity overwhelmed me quite a bit. I think that now you see me like teeing up my cards right before I go on. I think I just have a little bit more of a flow to life now, that I just know that life is so precious. It's about a heartbeat. It's about the most important person is the person standing in front of you or sitting in front of you. And just changing the way that I live my life, I think has like helped me grow. But it's also kind of encouraging seeing that you've done so much with so little, because this town, it's interesting in the way that it doesn't really like lay it down for you. You have to kind of build those opportunities. So tell me how you started to see the gap and create the opportunity for yourself.
I think I've been fortunate in the sense that a lot of people have stuck out their neck for me, you being one of them, and a lot of people that I've worked for, and just believing in me and knowing that my intentions were always good. It was always pure. Like, we really want to help this guy out, and really helping me get to the next level with me and you, or with you and I always felt like it wasn't the typical like intern, assistant, whatever. I felt like we had like almost like a friendship, to be honest. I really did feel that way, or a brother-sister kind of relationship. And we told a lot to each other, and you helped me in the sense where you really guided me and said, okay, this is what you have to do to get to the space that you want to get to. And, not everybody does that for you. Sometimes you work for people and they don't give an F about you, and you really were instrumental. And yeah, I always, in every interview and every magazine, anything that I've ever done, I always say I thank a lot to Rachel because she has literally been, like my Paris Hilton, like, Paris made Kim famous and like, not that I'm famous, but you took me to the next level, I think, by teaching me all these things. And yeah, I appreciate it.
I mean, you are crushing it.
Hmm.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about your journey. So you were a film student
Hmm.
before and you were feeling pretty lost,
Yeah.
like this was not what you were here for,
Hmm.
or it wasn't going the right way. Can you talk a little bit about that experience?
I was just going through a lot of depression and anxiety during that time where I was studying film. And I was only taking one class at that time, but my parents were like, you just need to do something because you're just at home, and I just felt so anxious. I was too scared to do anything. And then the school invited me to a gifting suite. And someone had said something to you. You were walking in and you looked like an angel, honestly. You were so pretty. And I know you were with one of your assistants at the time, Emmy. And someone said to me, oh, that's Rachel. You should really try talking to her. You should. And so that's when I gravitated over to you. And then I asked you that day, I was like, oh, do you need an intern? And you're like, no, not right now because I have a full staff. But then we ran into each other at a premiere and you were with Rick. And then that's how it happened. It was destiny, of course, and I think that literally helped me because I was so lost in passionate about film, but not enough. So when I met you, I think that was the beginning of the publicist journey. I didn't know what it was called at the time, but just helping talent and yeah, I think you changed the trajectory of my life, to be honest. And yeah, now I'm doing all these amazing things, but I never forget, who was there in the beginning to help me and was definitely lost in that season. But I really believe in God and believe everything happens at the right time, and yeah.
It's beautiful.
Hmm.
And you really held to your faith. I see you doing like the cross right
I know,
before
I
we
was a little
go on.
nervous. I get scared. Even though I've been on set, I get scared sometimes.
I
I'm
love it.
shy.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
Yes.
I feel like you have such a beautiful faith that you hold to. So can you talk about how that's helped you in some of those seasons where you felt lost?
There's one of my good friends. He's a monk and he owns his own lounge in Malibu. His name's Rafi. We've talked about him before, and he always says the answer to happiness is trust. Trusting the process, trusting that this is just a chapter in your life. So every negative experience I've ever had, any dark moment, I've always said, okay, this is just a moment. It's not forever, and it's just a chapter leading to another beautiful chapter. So there was that chapter where I was really sad, anxious, and lost, but then I met you and we were going to all the top celebrity events in LA. And it was difficult, but at the same time, I think being an assistant or an intern is the most gratifying thing in the world because you learn so much about everything, and I'm a whole different person now, but I really, yeah, I forgot the question, but I definitely think, yeah, you were instrumental in that for sure. And yeah, and having that faith, in something bigger than myself, because everybody has ego in LA. And I think being able to rely on something bigger than me to say, okay, you know what, this is just a season and it'll get better, the next season. And life would be boring if everything was just the same always, So it was always just like rainbows and horses, so definitely it's good to have that change so you appreciate when things do get good.
And it really does. I was talking to someone today and I literally said to her, I said, she's going to be one of our new talent on the media network for the McCord list. And I literally said to her today, I said, after or leading up into my heart surgery, really as soon as I found I needed it, I became so aware of every single heartbeat and making sure that I was not taking one for granted. And I think that's really what you're saying. It's like when you face adversity, when you face sorrow, there is a bigger cavity where you can feel so much more joy.
Right.
And I look at my life now and I'm just like, I can't even believe this. Like, I can't believe that I get to sit down with amazing people I love, and hear their stories and share them, and then also help people believe in themselves and just like get down. My favorite thing to do, I like get down and like with a notepad, like, what do you want to do? Like, what do we need to do to get you unstuck, to get you to the next level? And I think that that's really the journey. It's like, we can feel so overwhelmed and lost sometimes and like, what am I doing? Where am I going? But then when we start to really hone in on the fact that we're here for such a call and such a purpose, and if we could just hold on to that, like you said, believe that there is another chapter coming. And you might look back and be like, oh my goodness, all of these chapters led up to this. So what would you say to someone at home who is struggling, feeling lost, wondering what the point is, like what would you say to them as someone who's overcome that and continues to, I'm sure?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm still going through the same things I was back then when I met you, but I think I'm stronger now. I have a better sense of who I am. So I think I would encourage anybody to just take a baby step. You know, I was only taking one class at film school at the time when I met you. And so I think people overwhelm themselves like, oh, I have to do this, this, and that. But really, just take a small step. That small step will lead you to a staircase, and you will create momentum for yourself, because God is not going to do everything for you. You have to like take the steps. And so I think just taking that one baby step is really, whatever you want to do in life, it doesn't have to be entertainment. It can be being a teacher, being a doctor, but taking that step to do that is really what will, you know, I think create momentum for you and be able to change your life in a better way.
That's beautiful. What do you want to see next for J Prince PR?
Honestly, I want to continue just expanding. I just hired, you know, 2 new people to help me with my business, and I want to really help entrepreneurs, actors, you know, elevate their careers to the next level. That really is what makes me happy. And continue acting, continue working in the entertainment business. I think I'm fortunate enough where I'm more behind the camera than in front. So if I ever do get overwhelmed with LA, with entertainment business, I can just leave, you know, and then take a little break and then come back. And so, but I love entertainment. I really do. Yeah.
You're amazing. Well,
You're
I love
amazing.
you so much.
I love you.
Thank
You're
you
my
for
favorite
coming
person.
back. You are my favorite. And you brought me a little present. They just
Yes,
brought
where
it
did
to
it go?
you.
Oh,
It's
okay.
right there.
Oh, yes.
That is so sweet.
And it
A
matches
little
your
love.
outfit.
It does. It's like you knew. Thank you so much,
love
Juan. I
you.
love you,
No,
and
I
I'm
love
so
you.
happy, and like not in a weird, pretentious way. I'm really proud of you. I'm really happy and
you.
grateful to see you living your purpose and helping people, because it's really making a huge difference. You made a huge difference in my life. You talk a lot about how I helped you. You really helped
hope
me,
so,
and you
yeah.
were such a huge part of what the McCord list is today, because I think it was just so encouraging to have you along the way with me, and I love you.
I love you
So
too.
grateful.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we have an amazing guest next for you. But who knows? We might have more flowers. Who knows? I'm Rachel McCord, and this is the McCord List Today. Hello and welcome back to the McCord List. Today, I'm Rachel McCord, sitting down with everyone's favorite stand-up comedian, Greg Baldwin. Hello.
Hi, Rachel. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited.
It's great to be here.
It's so good. I mean, you are doing incredible shows, the Comedy Store, the Improv Comedy Club. You have toured around with so many people. Talk a little bit about your career. This is so fun.
So my stand-up career started one night. I was at a recovery meeting. I'm sober 18 years. And I was at a recovery meeting. Somebody introduced me to this guy that he had 30 days clean. I ended up, he had no car, so I gave him a ride home. And he had no money, so I started taking him to meetings. And he had no groceries, so I asked him, I said, where do you shop? And I'll take you grocery shopping. He took me to Whole Foods. And but I did my part, and it turns out he was a stand-up comedian. He invited me to one of his shows, and I went to the show. I never even thought about being a stand-up, and after the show, the comedians were terrible, and I said, you know, I could tell drug stories and be as funny as half of those guys. And he put me up at a beginner show the next week. I went up, I told some drug stories, and then I wrapped it up with a recovery message, and then I came off the stage. The host comes back up, and he's like, I didn't know this was an AA meeting. And that was the very first time I ever stood on stage doing stand-up. And that was on September 12th of 2013. And today it's my career. So my life changed from giving a newcomer a ride home and being of service to another human being.
Yeah, just helping someone. You changed your own life.
Yeah.
Isn't that how it works?
It is.
Isn't that what generosity looks like? Okay, I have a 5-year-old son. He just turned 5. And
nice.
I always call him a generosity rock star. So I'm always encouraging him, like, always be generous. That's what we need to do. So what were you doing for your career before that?
So I was in radio for a long time, on the sales end of radio for CBS. And then I went to work in advertising after that. And then I ran admissions for 3 treatment centers. I was director of admissions. And now I'm a stand-up. But it's, I don't know if it was a good career move, because I walked away from a lot more financial stability. There's a lot of sacrifices you make being a comedian. But, you know, it's what I love to do.
Yeah, you're happier.
Well, yeah, I think so. I struggle more. I struggle more. There's a lot of uncertainty. So, I was doing a show on Monday night with Jay Leno, Arsenio Hall, Anthony Jeselnik, and Jay Moore. And I've been having these great sets. And then right before I went up, I went after Jay Moore, and I was going up right before Jay Leno. And then I changed my whole set right at the last minute, and I had a terrible set. And then I just came off, and you're just like, oh my God, that was terrible. I should quit. I'm never going to be good at this. And then the next show I'll do, you have the best set in the world. You're like, I'm amazing. This is great. It's my career. And then there's so many ups and downs, and what I've come to realize is the outside stuff doesn't fix the internal problem. So the things that I need to do in order to be able to withstand the ups and downs of being a comedian is prayer, meditation, service work, recovery. Those are the things. So when those difficult times come, I'm able to walk with it and get through it.
I know exactly what you mean about the ups and downs, and it sounds like you probably feel those in like all of us, but I think that's what living really is like.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us, we try to get so numbed out to just the reality of this life. There are hard things going on in the world right now. You always can find something to feel sad about or feel joy about. I remember when I was first starting out doing television, I was asked to do a show with Mario Lopez. And I had no experience with memorizing scripts. My sister's an actress. I'm like, it takes me a lot just to know who I am. I'm not trying to be anybody else. It's like, I can't do that. So anyway, I got a ton of talking points from them. And in this time of my career, I would say, oh yeah, these are great talking points. I'm going to go off book. I'm not going to do word for word. But I wasn't confident at that stage. I hadn't learned what I've learned now, just knowing myself and my limitations. I choked so hard.
Yeah.
I choked so bad. I was standing there. I couldn't remember anything, not even my name.
Yeah.
And all I was thinking was, if I passed out right now, would I get out of this?
Yeah.
I was like, when the only exit strategy is to pass out, that seems like a good one. But it's really sweet to hear you say that it's your work that really kind of grounds you. So I'm a hardcore faith girl. I'm a
great.
Jesus girl. I'm
Nice.
through and through, pray. I've realized now that my job in this life is to help people see more of him and less of me.
Yeah.
And to just burn for him in my time, so that when I show up on stage or on a show or something, it's my job to just be less of me and more of him.
Yeah.
And the only way you get there is by tuning in. So you pray every single day, you meditate, and you've also gone into prisons over 300 times, helping inmates with sobriety. Can you talk about that work?
So part of my recovery is you help people. And so I heard about this group that you can go into the jails and speak to inmates. And I used to love watching all the jail shows, like Locked Up and all those TV shows. I was fascinated by them. So I got qualified after I got clean, a year and a half after I was clean, I got cleared to speak in the jails. And it just changed my life. And I really, really loved it. I remember before I went to the jails, I was speaking at a rehab, and there was a woman sitting in the front row, and she was crying. She was new in sobriety, and she was just crying, just tore up, just bawling. And I just remember looking at her, and I was like, I had so much empathy for her because I had walked through her shoes. And we all shared our stories. And after that, I went up to her and I said, hey, everything's going to be okay. And she smiled. And I was like, I had a moment of clarity, a spiritual awakening. And I realized that I have a gift. And that gift is that I can bring hope to people that don't have hope. And so when I went into the jails, it was just the most amazing, wonderful experience and people always say, it's great when you walk out and the doors close behind you. That's not my experience. My experience is walking in and the doors closing behind me, knowing that I'm going to bring hope to the hopeless.
Wow, that's so beautiful.
I met a kid in there when he was in his 20s or something, and he was getting out on Friday, and he asked me, he goes, what should I do? And I said, you come to a recovery meeting, I'll introduce you to some people, right? He doesn't show up. And about 4 months later, I'm at a recovery meeting. I see this kid. I don't recognize him. He runs over to me and he's like, hey, do you remember me? And I'm like, no. And he's like, from jail. And I'm like, oh, dude, what's up? And he goes, I got out. I started drinking again. He goes, I hit another bottom. I came here looking for you. You weren't here. He goes, I raised my hand as a newcomer. He goes, all these people surrounded me. They got me into a sober living. He goes, I'm sober 3 months. And a year later, I was at a recovery meeting. He was a speaker. And he shared his story, how he was introduced to recovery from this group that came in and spoke about recovery. And he said there was one person in that group that said something that saved his life. And he looked at me and he smiled. And listen, I'm not God. I don't have the ability to save anybody's life. I just happened to be the hand of recovery that was there at the time. And if it wasn't me, it would have been somebody else. But it was so powerful. And then I became the director of the organization. And my job was to help people get cleared to go speak in the jails. And I got him cleared to speak in the jails. And him and I went back into the same pod, the same jail that he was incarcerated in. And he sat on our side of the table, and he shared his experience, strength, and hope to the inmates. And it came full circle.
Wow, that is so beautiful, Greg.
Yeah.
And how sweet and humble you are about what you're doing. I think it's so important to use comedy to help people heal. It's interesting because you said I struggle a lot more, and it's funny because it makes me think of Kevin Hart, who says like, laugh at my pain. You know, his big thing is like, you know, comedians, they're funnier when life is like such a mess. But I think there's kind of this this need to connect to the world and give them joy in the midst of pain. Because I think so many, like we were talking about earlier, the ups and downs, so many of us are waiting for our up. We're waiting for that moment when everything gets better. But what would life look like if we actually could be celebrating in the downs about what's to come, and really take that breath and say, like, what does it look like here? And what can I learn? And how can I take this back? I know this happens a lot because I lead different prayer groups in LA. And usually the week that I'm leading one, I face the biggest adversity. And the first day, I always forget. And I'm just like, oh, like I'm grumpy and angry. I'm like, what is going on? Everything is falling apart. And it's almost like as soon as I say everything is falling apart, I'm like, oh yeah, everything is falling apart. That must be adversity that it's a spiritual thing. So then I think, okay, let me just pray into this. And then I think there's at least one human coming to this gathering who needs to hear and needs to experience what's going to break off of me this week. So let me just let this be the learning.
I agree with you 100%. And it's funny you talk about that because I told you I did a show at Jay Leno in Arsenio Hall, and I kind of bombed. And
you're in a community of bombers apparently, so you're safe here.
I kind of bombed, and it happens. It happens to everybody. And you know, the next day I couldn't get out of bed. You know, it was so hard, and I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm not good at this. And then here's what it brought up that I need to learn from. It brought up my one of the issues that I suffer from is needing to please everybody and caring so much what other people think about me. So if I had this great set and it was wonderful and I'm like this great comedian, I wouldn't have learned that. So I'm like, okay, I really need to focus in on working on the issue of having the need for everybody to like me. And so now that I know it, the solution for me is prayer. I can't get rid of it on my own, so I pray for you know, the God that I, you know, believe in to remove it for me. And life is hard. It's just hard. But you learn from the struggles and you grow from the struggles. But sometimes I just wish it was easy. But
tell me about it.
You know,
you're amazing. Thank you for sharing this, and thank you for talking about the day after, because I think that is the realness. But, you know, when we can do what we do for an audience of one, and sometimes what we think is the assignment isn't the assignment. Sometimes you might think your job was to do the best, open up for Jay Leno, and the crowds roar and laugh. But maybe there was something that you needed to say that someone needed to hear. And their life, their future, their tomorrow is more important than what makes us feel good. So I think that you are just amazing. Please come back on my show. I love you.
One more thing that I want to say is that what you said made so much sense about your struggle when you bombed, or you had it. It's not about me. It's what I bring to. It's what I bring and what I deliver. And if I make it about me, then I struggle. But if I bring joy and laughter and focus in on being of service to other human beings, that's the solution.
That's it. You're amazing, Greg. Oh my goodness. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere on the McCord List today. I'm Rachel McCord. Welcome back to the McCord List today. I'm Rachel McCord, you guys. I am sitting down with Kristen Bennett. You're the Director of Development for Go Campaign LA. This is your first interview?
Yes, this is my first interview.
Oh my goodness.
I really appreciate you taking a chance on me.
I'm so excited. You're either going to love me or you're going to never want to think of me again. I'm going to lean into the first one.
I think so.
I'm dressed in a love color.
I do too.
You know, I think this is going to be great. Wait, so tell me all about Go Campaign. What is this? What do you do in the world?
So Go Campaign basically stands for Giving Opportunity. And that is what we do. We give opportunity to children throughout the world. And so it kind of runs the gamut in terms of what we do. We do a little bit of everything. We do whatever a child needs to thrive. And so if that means providing education or healthcare or nutrition, we do a little bit of everything. The way that our model is based is we work with local heroes who are from the area and know their community well and know the interventions that are appropriate for their community. So the last thing that we ever want to do is go in and say, we think you need this water well and this is what we're going to do for you. That's not the best way to do philanthropy. And so we always say we go in with open ears and open hearts, and we do the best that we can. And we started in 2006, and since then, 18 years now, we have worked in 40 countries with over 427,000 children.
That's remarkable. Think of the generations being transformed by that work.
Yeah, we have, it's actually interesting. We have one young man who was one of the orphans that our founder and CEO first met when he went to do his traveling in Africa. And he did this volunteering, and this was one of the kids. I think there were about 20 of them. He was one that when he left, he could not stop thinking about him and just loved him, and eventually just kind of took him under his wing because he really showed so much promise and he wanted to learn so much and he had such a hunger. And so he ended up bringing him over to the States, and he just graduated college and with a degree in economics and a minor in Chinese, if I'm not mistaken. He's incredible. And we just sent him away on a going away party on Sunday to Tanzania. But he's going to come back, and he's employed, he's gainfully employed. Like, these things never would have happened if Scott wouldn't have met him. And it's amazing.
It's so beautiful too, because you always think about in your life when you're struggling with something, it's easy to feel so overwhelmed by it because, we're the biggest person in our story.
Right.
But if we remember that maybe part of the pain could be the purpose or the transformation for somebody else, because him going through what he went through was actually what birthed all of this to help 500,000 children find transformation. And you also founded the Go Youth's Advisory Board.
Yes.
And then the Women's Giving Circle. So
Yes.
tell us about those.
Yeah, so the Youth Advisory Board is great. It's really just a way for the next generation to get involved. So really it's 7th graders through college seniors. And we do a 6-month stint where we basically learn about fundraising, learn and hear from one of the local heroes. So a lot of the time we'll be able to Zoom with someone in Africa or in Latin America. And this is their first time hearing from people like that. And they hear firsthand what their needs are and the population that they're serving and what they're doing. And then they get a chance to fundraise for that. And that just makes it so much closer to home in terms of how they're able to connect with the story. And so we've been doing that now for 5 years. it originally was something where we only went up to high school seniors. And then I had a couple of graduating college students who were like, can you maybe just like let me in next year? And so we extended that, and now they're a part of it. And it's just been amazing. They come and they help behind the scenes at our galas. They help at our fundraising events. They do different things. They make donations. They're great. They're really incredible. So I'm really proud of what the Youth Advisory Board has accomplished.
You should be.
Yeah.
Now, how do you identify the children who need this support?
The children who need support from Go. So basically, it is anyone. So we have parameters, and I won't bore you with all of the details, but essentially, to be considered to be a beneficiary, you have to be between 0 and 25 years of age, and in a community where there is a great need, and where we can come in as Go Campaign and not only bring help, but also make sure it's sustainable, because the last thing we want to do is come in and give you a water well and then leave. And so our goal is to work with you to make sure, as a local hero, that what you're doing is sustainable on the ground, and you're either going to be able to continue to make money from it or support it in some manner. And that's kind of what our parameters are, mainly, for becoming a Go local hero.
That's amazing. And what would you want to say to someone who is wanting to get involved and support your organization, or just supporting organizations in general? I think that so many of us, we see great needs in the world, but it can be a little overwhelming. Like, how do I get involved? I'm a busy working mama. I'm doing all the things. What advice would you say to someone wanting to get involved and do good in the world?
100%. And I would say, the biggest thing is just do your research. So you can always go to GuideStar, Charity Navigator, any of those large websites, and they will literally break it down for you in terms of how transparent are they, and what does their financial look like, and what is this, and what is this. And then if you find an organization like Go Campaign, if you want to come to us, half the time we'll say, if you're not a fit for us, we'll connect you to the right person that you are a fit for. Because, for example, out here in California, we've dealt with a lot of disaster relief lately. And so during the wildfires, we just weren't doing that kind of work. And so we made sure that we sent people out into the community where they could go and get help. And but I would say, just think about what it is you want to do, and then find something that does it well. And then just stick with it, and always ask questions. Like, I was able to fund a girls' dormitory for vocational training in Rwanda, just because an offhand comment with one of our local heroes during a Zoom was talking about how the girls had to travel 2 hours each way, often with children on their backs, just to come do this sewing apprenticeship. And I said, well, I know a donor who would love to support that. And so we're now building them a dormitory, and it's going to help like 100 women at a time. Wow. So it's really rewarding. And, if you keep an eye out, there's all sorts of opportunities.
That's incredible. So I know that women's issues and girls' issues are very close to your heart. You're a girl mama, but mental health has really kind of been close to you and your family and your life.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what fuels your work?
Yeah. So, in the recent years, being a girl mama, my daughter is Everly. She's 3.5, and she's amazing. And so I started actually a women's giving circle. And I started it because even though women are poised to take over wealth by 2030, and women are making up a dominant portion of the workforce, the issues that are affecting women are still chronically underfunded. So I started this women's giving circle, and it's basically $1,000 for an annual membership. And what you get to do is you get to be a part of not only like-minded women, but also hearing from local heroes, hearing from the amazing women who are doing the work on the ground. We just had someone from the DRC, and another person from Compton, and they spoke together, and it was so great. And then what we were able to do with this Women's Giving Circle is basically create a fund where you get to decide where your money is going. So you're going to grant out those funds with the money that we raise. And I'm just really proud of that. I think that that is something that will do really well. And we just started it. So please feel free to go on our website, www.gocampaign.org, and look at the Women's Giving Circle. It's really amazing, and we're really proud of it.
That's amazing. What beautiful work you're doing. Thank you so
you.
much for how you're impacting the world. I mean, you are transforming lives and generations, and just the smallest gift gives someone the gift of hope.
100%.
I remember being a little girl, and I was the youngest of a family of 5, living on $20,000 a year
Oh my
as
gosh.
in our family. And Christmas for me was like so hard because we'd all pick one name in like a little bucket. And so we would go to the dollar store, and every person in my family would buy one gift for everyone. And I remember like being a little kid and seeing my cousins like have this crazy Christmas experience. And I just always felt like, ugh, like that's just not me. Like that's just not my future. And I went to my Mimi's house one time, and it was just something about that day. I just became aware of everything that she had done and all the intentionality she'd put into her home. And I thought, you know what? I feel really comfortable here. And it was almost like the beginning of me aspiring to something different for my life. And I think that's what fueled me wanting to get out of trailer parks and start working when I was 13, because I just wanted to have something for myself. I didn't want to worry about rent and mortgage and utilities and food and going to bed hungry. And I didn't want that for my kids in the future. And so I was like, I need to do something different. And I remember very clearly being 12 years old and deciding I wanted a job for that very reason. But I think it was that hope that I got and seeing something beyond it. So I think we can never underestimate the power of these small acts of love and kindness that can transform someone's life.
100%. And just to give you an idea, it only takes $35 is the average cost to change a life.
Wow.
It's really not much.
Wow. We can all afford that. Let's
Yeah.
skip Starbucks.
Exactly.
Or something like that. Love you, Starbucks. Thank you so much, Kristen. I appreciate you being here. And thank you guys so much for
having
tuning
me.
in. Yes, you're amazing. That is our show. I'm Rachel McCord from the McCord List, and we will see you next time.